I want to talk a little bit about how we get that into that. So we're going to talk about processes of extraction. I went through them earlier. The main ones are steam distillation. Most essential oils are steam distilled. Hydrodistillation, expression or compression, and solvent extraction. I'll tell you a little bit about each of them because it is quite interesting. Okay, so we talked about steam distillation already, didn't we? Water's pushed through, the plant matter's here, turns into steam, takes it down, cools down here. Yeah. As I said, most essential oils are steam distilled. However, if there is something that is a tough material, so for example, vetiver. Vetiver is from the roots of a plant and it's very, very stiff. So what they do is they hydro distill it, and rather than having air being pushed through, the only difference is that it's put in the water here and it's kind of boiled really, and as the air comes up, same principle, the heat loosens the molecules into the steam down and separate it. Hydrodistillation, steam distillation, very, very similar. This though is different. Citrus oils are extracted by compression by a process called écuelleux-piqué. So looks like an instrument of torture, doesn't it? And it is really. These are all spikes and it's like a funnel shape. The essential oil glands are not in the actual fruit, they're in the exocarp, that is the rind, and they're deep. So we push it onto the spikes, and this handle is also a funnel, and so the oil goes down into there, and obviously it's polluted to a certain extent with juice, so then it goes into a centrifuge, it's spun, and they separate off. Solvent extraction is for things that are very delicate, so for example rose or jasmine, or things where there's tiny flowers really. Historically it didn't have a very good name because it would leave some of the extractant behind, so it was common to use things like hexane, and you would get a small amount of hexane left behind. More recently, most solvent extraction is done by, or CO2 extraction, using carbon dioxide. So when you're at school you might remember that there was solid, liquid, gas. Those are the main states. I thought those were the only states, to be honest, but apparently there's a state called hypercritical, which is CO2 goes through hypercritical between being solid and being gas, and at hypercritical it's kind of nothing. So what they do is they pass it through the plant matter, and then when it gets to the point of hypercritical, they extract the plant oil, they release the CO2 gas, and so of course no extract is left behind. So you just have this beautiful, no pollutant is left behind. It's lovely extract that's completely pure, and that's CO2 extraction. You might also hear of enfleurage, and enfleurages are beautiful, although you don't see them very often anymore. If you're lucky enough to go somewhere like India, have a look to see if you can get a rose enfleurage. It's that's my old romantic streak coming through really. How they used to extract the oils, they would lay down the rose petals on these beautiful great big racks and smear them with vegetable oil, lay them out in the hot Indian sun, and as the oil softened they would be drawn into the vegetable oil, and then the vegetable oil separated off again, leaving this beautiful oil. Enfleurages are expensive, they are exquisite. If something is solvent extracted or CO2 extracted, we call it an absolute. It's not an essential oil, you still can use it perfectly well. It's a different thing, but yeah, you'll see Rose Absolute and Rose Essential Oil. Rose Essential Oil has been distilled, Rose Absolute has been extracted by Silverton Extraction. Both are beautiful. When we look at Rose later, you'll see they're quite different, but that adds to the magic really. So those are the main things that you need to look for on your label to see how your essential oil has been extracted.